it's where you want to be.
Yeah, I think, you know, given the fact that there's super weeks in the Academy League, we're effectively 1 week ahead of the LCS. And so when you have a bad super week like some of these teams had, or in TSM's case, a good one, you are suddenly so much closer or further away from where you want it to be. And TSM, prior to the Super Week, was looking like a team that was for sure going to miss the playoffs, and now they're starting to get a little spring in their step after taking down some of the teams that were also vying for a playoff contention spot just below them. And now they can hope to continue that against the actual currently playoff position teams.
See if they can hit it for 4-0. Zoe Morgana banned by TL. Talia Nocturne the first two there for TSM. So starting to pick up some trends with bans here. Haven't seen I think Nocturne's been banned every game, and Talia, I think, also has received the same treatment. Rakan similarly has not been banned every game, but it's been quite a few.
Yep, and this leads to the potential Aatrox being left up again. Since we've seen, you know, even though Max Turbo played it and it still looks strong, it was not a particularly impressive performance. TSM do end up banning it, but it was the kind of thing where Max Turbo did not seem like a god, quite like Aatrox has been built up to be. And I know it's 8-14, so he's obviously nerfed now, but it was definitely not the kind of thing where it looked unbeatable.
I think against Viper, though, pretty good to keep that carry out of his hands. So Kindred first pick instead, as we're going to get a lot of Riven hovers.
It's the kind of Academy rituals, like when you play against Viper, everyone hovers Riven for a little bit. And sometimes you lock it in, but not this time.
Sometimes. Mostly if you're Viper, as Swain locked in instead. Champion that also hasn't gotten through too many times tonight.
And hopefully we see the Pyke with it. I like the Pyke pick, I just don't always like what I see it comboed with. And here, going with a potential kill lane in the bot lane is much more attractive to me. When you have Swain and Pyke kind of farming it out early, hitting level 6 and trying to find kills, that's all great. TL looked ready to respond, though, as they snap-picked those.
Glitch in the Matrix. This picks happen so fast. Jinx Tom Kench there for the bot side. I think this is, like you were alluding to, something we'll start to see quite a lot of.
And it makes sense, especially against the team that TSM Academy's bot lanes put together here, because they're going for these all-in lanes at 6. You're trying to survive. I've talked about it before, Pyke is a bit of a soft counter into Tom Kench, because Tom Kench's gray health, where you normally wait till you're at, like, you know, 100 HP before suddenly, haha, I have 800 HP. Pyke doesn't care. You hit the ultimate. If they are below a certain HP value, they die. And so that gray health does nothing for him against Pyke in all-ins. So that's nice once you hit 6, but until then, it's still a pretty rough lane for Pyke. He does not do super well into Tom Kench.
Well, Sejuani was the last pick there for Mike. So now Riven's going to get banned, and Yasuo is going to be traded. Some carries being taken out of those solo lanes.
We'll have to see if this is a Trundle ban coming through. You would expect so with the Sejuani pick, and you're trying to protect it a little bit here. But they have other options. I mean, there's still a lot of top laners up that you could potentially ban out as well. It started with the Riven. And go the GP.
Yep, so continuing to take away champions from Viper.
Well, I don't know what I'm saying. Kindred's already picked. Why am I talking about Trundle ban?
I could play Trundle somewhere. Okay. Well, we'll see what the next pick. Sorry, ban is for TL Academy. It's been a long night, Mark, okay?
There have been some long games.
We've had some marksmen, we've had some wave
clear.
clear.
Can we nerf marksman again? I liked when people died and the game ended. I didn't like when Ezreal was 8-1 but couldn't win the game. You know who wins that game? Heimerdinger.
That's true, as Orianna going to get banned by Team Liquid Academy. Again, something that we may be seeing more of. Some of these popular mages. I mean, Swain getting through is certainly not something we expected too much of. So with already taken away, TL kind of cutting their own options here as well. But with Swain's flexibility, it can be tough. And there's Gnar for Pyke Lord. So blind pick actually there in the top lane.
Yeah, that's a scary proposition to me. If you want to Gnar blind, unless the matchup changed, I'm surprised they didn't leave the GP up, because that's a champion that previously was picked in the GP, and you would kind of like try and smash the lane as hard as you could. If you didn't smash hard enough, the GP went off. But yeah, I don't know. Against Viper, blinding Gnar is just scary. You know, there's a lot of things that, anything with a gap close that can threaten to kill the Gnar post 6 when he's in mini form is very, very powerful. We'll see what they end up going with.
I think Joey's having some fun.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think they're going to put the Tom Kench top in the Gnar. That sounds pretty miserable.
This I would expect, though, and Cannon is locked in.
Yeah, and that's one of the old counters to Gnar, was that you won the auto attack battles. You could disengage the Mega Gnar. He couldn't never really get onto you, and then you just won fights against him. At 6, you had all the tools to force them. And that's kind of what they're doing here. If this Galio comes through, it would protect the Gnar a fair amount to those all-ins, but it's still a losing matchup.
Well, he's going to take it for mid lane, which leaves Gnar top. And as expected, Swain bot lane there for Mr. Orales. So I kind of like what we're seeing here. It's cool, again, to see Viper maybe a more of a carry-style champion. He's played a lot of different champions in his tenure in Academy. When On was invoked, he was playing a lot of that. So despite being the Riven Yasuo guy for a long time in solo queue.
Yep, they're going for the troll where they're hovering the Tahm Kench top with the Kennen bottom. It might be Kennen support. Nah.
We're just fixing runes, double-checking that everything's okay. I mean, they didn't even wait till like 22 seconds. The lockout time is 20 seconds, so if you're going to be really edgy about it, you're supposed to wait longer, but they didn't even risk that. They gave themselves like an 11-second buffer.
Yeah, I mean, they
That's
swapped up
like
for a second. Yeah. Not as baity as they could have been. And we got two interesting strategies here. TLA having some kill pressure on the top side and having a slightly winning bot lane, I think, pre-6, and then post-6 they have to worry about the all-in threat. Galio being able to get involved in either of those side lanes where a lot of action will happen. And in the mid lane, Ryze versus Galio. Pretty uninteractive lane, all things considered. And it'll also be a lot of hard trying to find early advantages in Mike Young on Sejuani wanting to cover as Shady took E early level 1, hopped the wall. This is actually a great setup on the Viper. They might find a kill here.
Very sneaky. Doubt anyone is going to check this, but based on where Hard is right now, he's getting some vision out there.
They're going to force him out right into the Pyke. Wait, the Pyke wasn't in... What? Wait, I'm so confused. Why would Pyke be in the pit and not hovering that wall ready to go? He was on the bot side. Like, if you saw where he ran out of, he was... am I crazy? Like...
No. I think there's a cool bit of fog of war that sits just behind that little rock formation, and TSM are trying to do like the pincer invade.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But they were doing the triple pincer when they should have just done the regular.
No, what they were doing was actually 100% correct. Right. Why is Shady on the bot side? Hug the top side and cut him off. And then look, he's so late to the cutoff. That's a free flash if you play that right. That's just mind-boggling to me. That like you have this great level 1 invade. It's a beautiful idea that you can do with Pyke because he has mobility and CC on the same ability. You hop the wall, you sit there, he starts wrapping around as the guys pincer him from the top side, you force the flash over the wall. Great. This aggressive laner in Viper who needs to use his skills and push the lane to win this matchup now doesn't have flash and can't play as aggressively. That is such a bad mistake in my mind.
Yep. I mean, maybe if someone walks by, he's worried about vision, but I agree. I think if you're going to commit harder.
Yeah, like if you're going to do that play, do the play and do it right.
Yeah, don't do the not as good version.
Don't do the play where you're like randomly hovering the far side and then you run up late after your team is already like forcing him out of the brush. I don't know.
All right, well, we'll see what happens in the 2v2 now that Shady is back down into the bot lane. Looks like they'll lose that race to level 2. But as you said, Jin, pretty good early on.
And it looks like very interesting by Hard here, using the priority that the Ryze has to go and actually get the scuttle that has his mark on it early on. So kind of delayed getting in there, got the first scuttle crab, which was unlucky, and then Mike Young was not there to grab the other one in time, and Insanity kind of scared him off it.
Joey, you're getting pretty low, but I think Raleigh's passive must have been on cooldown. There's no pull back in onto the Tahm.
Yeah, pretty long ability timer at low ranks. I think it's like 12 or 16 seconds or something like that. So no surprise.
With good reason, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that ability does a lot. Mispositions the enemy team, gives you HP back. It's a very powerful tool.
You can see Charles and Shady just getting these minions killed. Trying to keep the lane in a nice safe spot for themselves. No need to do anything drastic while you're expecting the pressure here. Mike Young even going to come down, perhaps? No, just farming blue side jungle instead, as a Blaze Olive also farming it up here in the mid lane.
Good plays all around, and here Viper goes, playing aggressive on Pie Lord with that advantage that he should not have. And this is the last time I will reference it.
All right, well, doing so well so far as PCL's trying to hit under the turret and get the minions. Equal so far, but we'll see how the lane develops. Doran's Blade versus Shield obviously should favor Viper and his playstyle. Also kind of cool to see Phase Rush. I feel like Kenny can do a lot of different things. But that one's kind of signaling maybe more team fighting and AP for me as the game goes on, even though he wants the Blade right now for lane.
Yeah, definitely press the attack is the AD building rune, so if you don't have the press the attack, you're basically guaranteed to be doing something else, probably AP.
Full tank cannon, here we go.
Yeah, maybe, why not? Mike Young is in a great position to gank this lane here.
Wrap around, gonna force some flashes. Gets a tag on a Joey. Ooh, good pullback there for Rollers. They actually caught him on the flash. The cleanse also used as well, but Joey may not survive this encounter. Does have enough cover fire there from Shoryu, but he blew both sums there.
Wow, that is an insane amount of CC that they threw onto him and still could not find the kill. The cleanse, not only getting him out of the first CC, but having that extra CC reduction for a period of time afterwards, made sure that with the heal and the gray health, Joey is able to run out of there. And I think TSM actually comboed that CC, all things considered, very well. It was intelligent by MarkZ to go onto him instead of Shoryu, who would have just gotten gobbled up and ran to safety. So they just go onto him. Shady played it well as well, got the pullback, flip back with the E stun, and then afterwards, then Mr. Raleigh threw his hand out, and through all of that, Joey lives. But they did get a ton of summoners for basically only their Ignite.
Yep, good trade there. Let's see, Blaze Olive and MarkZ teaming up just to push out this wave. Hard actually going to trim it here as well, as was a recall for Insanity.
And that is going to be all she wrote in the mid lane.
TSM Galio, it's a classic at this point.
TSM Galio, baby. It's hard. Finds a Blaze Olive, maybe window shopping.
Yep. Trying to cook his chicken to just the right point. Unfortunately, going to have to go back and do it all again.
Yeah, and unluckily for Hard, not a mark on this as he finds MarkZ slightly out of position. Forces him back. Oh, the mark spawned on it. He left it up, I believe, on purpose maybe to do that. He's going to be able to get this one. MarkZ a little too far away to stop this.
Oh, Smite's close for both, but it's not going to matter. Hard, I think he's going to call worth on this one, but he's absolutely dead. First blood to a Blaze Olive.
Yeah, that's one of the difficulties of the mark system is both teams know it's there, and so a Blaze Olive TP's back in the lane after they see it. Sponza, he says, hey, he was just interrupting my recall. He might still be around here. And there they go. They find that kill on him.
Oh,
all in by
Viper! Straight in there with a flash. Piecake Lord is just going to flash out of the way, but Viper, he's maybe one more auto. There it is, a solo kill by Team Liquid's top laner.
Super well done by Viper. Times that one perfectly. Is able to get the flash follow. Very, very clean kill onto Piecake Lord, also known by Pastry as PCL.
And there's the Merc Treads that may have saved him from that all-in, but did not have them. Got a quick recall back to base, and now Viper's going to go shop and probably TP back as well, as Piecake Lord has TP'd back to lane. Yeah,
and it's one of those things I can totally understand, the greed. You're pushing your wave in, you don't want it to get frozen on you, so you greed out for the final, last little bit of pushing in, but you're at half HP going into Mini-Gnar form. He waits out the phase rush portion before jumping into the hyper portion, excuse me, gets on top of him, and then you're just in auto attack range. With that phase rush coming in clutch to make sure he can keep the auto attack distance.
And we can see that Viper, Sock Shoes, and a Kindle Gem, so it will be Proto Belt as that first item. So AP Cannon is back.
Could always be Shirelia's, but probably.
I'm ready for Shirelia's Cannon. Now I'm going to be upset when it's not Shirelia.
Yeah, I think it'll most likely be Proto Belt, that extra little bit of burst being very, very useful. As things have started off pretty well for TLA, all things considered.
Bot lane looking, tricky in some of these trades. Raleigh's getting nice never moves to get some trades back and forth, but farm is even, which is kind of where you want to be for both sides.
Yeah, and the stress for this bot lane will really come online in another minute or so because Joey's flash will be down for a little bit longer. Shada will hit 6 as Piecake Lord in trouble maybe again. Able to hop out just in time.
Yeah, enough distance this time, but Hard pretty aggressively looking for bounties. Has 2 right now, so would love to get a gank off and try and secure another one if you can swap that over in good time. Blue buff also going to get donated over. I imagine the same is coming soon here for a Blaze Olive, but potential traction onto this Drake if TSM think that the blue buff transfer is coming.
His Notion Drake in 8 minutes in the game would be nice, but not quite sure they had that timing down. That's a very old school trick. Enemy team goes for their first blue buff. You're the red side team. You just go for the Drake on the same spawn time and figure they're not there, especially if you don't see a mid lane. That's the very clear sign to go. Instead, they're diving the top side.
Yep, another one coming. Viper missing a shuriken.
Ooh.
Can't really get the chain stun started just as easily. He's going to get this wave push into the turret, but Olive is ready with ulti if he can walk up to that left side.
Insanity is in range as well for a round warp. Looks like they're potentially calling it off, or Piecake Lord's baiting.
Yeah, it was all the bait here, but there's another bait moving, and no knockups there from the Galio ulti, but Piecake Lord a little low. Good flash by both as the Blaze Olive barely going to miss the taunt onto Hard. Insanity is here, but about to be 1v2 perhaps if MarkZ walks up from those Raptors. Pycake Lord though should be out, so Viper just going to get free time with the turret.
Yeah, still a very successful play for TLA, all things considered. Denies a big minion wave and gets a lot of damage down. This turret might be able to take it. They're both half HP, and if they greed out, could be a little bit of a disaster, but for now, they're getting a lot of good damage down onto that turret. Didn't really cost him anything. Now Blaze, all of them might be caught out of position.
Yeah, 2 members roaming up. He's going to get the root down. Just needs a little bit more from Tom Kent to try and get it. No flash here. Not a bad try. Now the bullets just need to land in. Need to try and curve it around. MarkZ blocking where he can. Blaze Olive going to walk around the other side, but now MarkZ could be the one in trouble. Does flash and use it, but he still dies to Insanity. Shady late as he does drag Insanity into the turret, but Blaze Olive can't really stay. Insanity dodges the ulti from the Pyke. Just clean steps right and takes that one away.
So many people getting away with low HP bars in that skirmish. First hit to Blaze Olive, barely getting out. They do get the kill on the MarkZ, and then just barely Insanity avoids getting traded back in a 1-for-1. Very close situation, and Shady just barely missing that ultimate. Very unfortunate.
Clean stuff from Insanity. So watch this one again.
Yeah, and this is just a Blaze Olive trying to get lane priority after that top play that happened. But a good roam by the bot lane here of TLA. Almost finds this kill. MarkZ shows up to body block and does a good job of it, but kind of runs too far forward at the same time. Could have instead kind of kited back more while doing it. That leads to his death, and then Shady barely misses the on Shoryu, gets the pullback, the ignite, the cleanse, get the ignite off, and then the ult just barely missing by Shady. It's a tough ability to land, to be fair. I think a lot of people underestimate the difficulty.
Yeah, that one's in the harder than it looks category for sure.
There's a small delay on it that's longer than the typical like cast time delay. So predicting how people are going to step can be pretty difficult.
Well, Drake goes over to TSM, so do get something back after the mid lane situation. I'll be happy to take that one pretty early on in this game. Looks like Morales and Olive especially kind of want to farm things out on their mages.
And it's nice to see TLA being able to find those opportunities because this should be a difficult lane for them. They've avoided one of the toughest parts. Joey does not have his cleanse anymore. If they can find a similar CC combo to what they found that one time, but with the ultimate to kind of negate that gray health, it can potentially find them a kill. But this game is slowly slipping away from TSM a little bit because while things are going largely neutral in the mid and bot lanes, the top lane, you can see that turret about to drop with the 1v1 pressure of Viper.
See Hard staying on top of his bounties as well, is at 3. I don't know if we've seen 3 tonight with all the Kindreds.
We've seen 3 a couple times, but they consistently stall out after that because they end up down pressure and they can't quite get the invades for the 4th, and then they're losing, so they can't mark him in time for the kills. Hard is in a good spot this time.
Yeah, MarkZ's also marked, so if they can start a fight and get a kill, it's not a bad thing to collect. Fight over the Herald though. Oh, no one gonna get it! A Blaze Olive! Steals it after the smite was just a touch short there from Hard. MarkZ going to pick it up, and that's a heartbreaker.
The tradition of leashing for the opponent continues here in Academy, as Hard wanted that one. They were afraid to go too aggressive onto MarkZ, and as a result got zoned off of it and lost it.
Oh, there's also a bounty on the Raptors, but MarkZ going to stop that one as well. Hard will have to wait a little bit longer to try and collect number 4. We'll have to keep track on just how long it takes him to pick that one up.
3 at 12 is still a good metric.
Ooh, bit of a trade there. Joey just standing his ground. Tongue Lasher Shady is charging up the Bone Skewer, but Shoyu is well back out of the way. Swifty Boots helping dodge a lot of incoming skill shots.
Yeah, it's a bit of a classic Jhin against skill shots that you have to dodge. You don't really need the attack speed boots on him. It doesn't really smooth out any gameplay for you quite like it does on a lot of marksmen who get their first kind of zeal item in their attack speed boots, and suddenly it feels much better than just the first zeal item. Jhin doesn't quite need that, so hey, get those move speed boots against those claws and spears you have to dodge out on. What is that? Hook? Spear?
According to the name, it's a skewer of bone.
Bone skewer.
It's a bone skewer. I don't know what bone or which bone, where he got it from. If it's like his, like, I don't know.
I don't think it's his bones.
No? Probably one he collected. That would make sense.
Yes.
He just like found a pirate's femur on the bottom of the ocean. It's like, this'll do. Fashioned it into a weapon.
That sounds a lot less like than like, I killed this guy and made it mine. He's like, I found a bone.
I'm being informed by our patched in lore team, aka our producers, that apparently a creature killed Pyke, which is why he's like zombie man. And perhaps it's from the creature that killed him.
Ah.
I assume it was quite a big creature, which makes sense because it's quite a big skewer.
Or maybe because he's dead, he doesn't need his bones anymore, and it's his. Maybe you were right.
Maybe it is a femur.
Maybe you are right. Maybe it is the femur of Pyke. Who are you to tell me I'm wrong if there's no definitive answer?
Have to get that.
Lore nerds.
Have to get that one confirmed at a later date. As Irish Child is going to get channeled down here. First turret gold not available. Unfortunately, that was Viper who already took out the top side. Probably about finished for him as well. So things going right in that lane, which is, I think, where we expected the early game to go well for Team Liquid. But TSM are doing a good job answering and kind of using the power of this Swain, plus that Rift Tower that Mike Young did kind of steal away to at least equalize the turrets here and keep that gold nice and close.
Yeah, definitely not slipping away from them. Like I was kind of saying earlier, the fact that they didn't lose too many more, fights aren't going not in their favor. They grabbed the bot lane turret, like you said, Goldie basically completely even. And even though Gnar is behind the Kennen, the AP Kennen's all-in threat is not as high as the game goes on in a side lane as the AD Kennen's is. He will have a larger team fight impact, but Gnar's also not bad at team fights. It's maybe a little bit higher barrier of execution. Both of them are at their best when they're flanking. It's just Gnar has to be in mega form for it to be effective, whereas Kennen can go whenever.
Still some wave push back and forth here. Lots of wave clear between these two mid laners, so expect to see priority being traded pretty frequently, although Insanity with the blue buff going to make that a little bit easier of a time. Storm Razor also done for Jin, and 2 Rod of Ages starting to tick up for the mages on the TSM Academy side. So basically one item done for everyone in this early stage, kind of waiting for that next point to start a team fight. Perhaps the next Ocean Drake in a minute 5 will be that spot.
What you would expect, especially with those, like you said, Rod of Ages stacking, should be a pretty nice timing. As Hard finding Shady here.
Trying to get a pick off, but Shady just zips away. Hard still looking, but Shady well and truly out. Hard to pin down Pyke, especially when you don't have any hard CC yourself. But Hard at least staying up and aggressive with his Devourer finished. And TLA certainly trying to get vision on this right-hand side of the map.
Definitely one of the times I do like the Devourer more. Galio gets pretty tanky, Sejuani will be tanky, Gnar can get pretty tanky, even Swain gets pretty tanky. So having that more consistent DPS is exactly what you're looking for.
Ooh, good W there from Ralles, but no skewer follow-up there from Shady. Hard is going to get forced away from this area, though. And with the Drake up in 15 seconds, he kind of wants to be on the map instead, but TSM have taken over this right side river.
Like you said, that Drake spawning in 10 seconds is exactly what they're going to be looking for. Kennen does have his double pen items completed and the Hextech Proto Belt, so he will have a pretty large impact on this fight if he can find an angle. Not that many squishy members like we were saying, but it's not too bad for AP Kennen because even just locking multiple people down while getting damage off is still contributing enough.
Well, Ocean Drake going to go over. It is an interesting objective trade though, because I believe Hard did get his last bounty on that Scuttle Crab on the left, so not the typical cross-map trade we see from objectives, but if that is indeed what happened for Hard, then I suppose he'll take it.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed after talking about how the Kennen might play that team fight and just see him run all the way back up to the top side after hovering around the middle a little bit. Not the most interesting decision by TLA as this game is starting to slow down.
I've seen this trend a lot tonight, it feels like. Again, games are playing out a little more traditionally, I suppose. We've seen, we've generally seen more marksman games generally throughout League of Legends history than mage bot side lanes, or even Pyke bot lane. That was the other one we saw.
That was a game. And I think I like the Swain bottom a lot more.
I have to agree. We'll see how Ralles can get things done in the team fights, but even though the champions change, the habits die pretty hard for Viper, who still pretty committed to his split push, despite not having a significant lead in CS. Does have that one kill that he got by himself, and of course he took that turret gold, so he's doing well, but I agree that at some point he's going to have to join the team, and TLA will have to find a 5v5 that works for them in this game.
Yeah, and they don't have great Baron setup. I mean, Hard has decent DPS, Ryze is not that bad. Jin's not really ideal, but you don't have a tank who's happy to tank it up while you potentially go for baits, for Viper TP flanks and things like that. So it actually is relatively hard for them to find kills if they're not executing the 1-3-1 super well. And with the fact that the early game, despite the fact that I thought it was going to snowball a little bit more after the first kill and turret take for the top side, hasn't led to a complete loss of pressure. It is still slightly in TLA's favor, as the Ryze can push up against the Galio and things like that, but it's definitely not the end of the world for TSM.
can also see that maybe Viper's split push dreams are even being pushed by his team. Hard to go up there to Shadow for just a second, but it looks like Olive's going to catch that wave, and TSM going to start moving their TPs around. We already see the duo lanes for both teams here in mid lane. So trying to make sure they can keep those pushes and keep the threat in a central part of the map with no objectives up right now.
And I like what TSM Academy is doing in terms of moving their side laners around. One of the things that is kind of something teams need to work on in general is if you get a disadvantageous lane matchup, move it. So they had the Kennen in the top side against the Gnar for a little bit. They flipped them both to the other sides. They're going to push out. Now the Kennen goes down to try and match the TSM top laner that they want with the Kennen against the Gnar. And TSM keeps trying to dodge that. TLA keeps trying to match that. And you get into this back and forth that is what both teams should be looking for, but sometimes people just default into the less favorable matchups. So we're glad to see both teams being active in the side lanes, even if it's not resulting in kills.
Sanity getting blue buff as well, so things, I mean, just being collected here by both teams. Gold lead is non-existent, I'll say, given that TLA are technically up by not enough to cause any ruckus.
That's a ward or two, buddy.
Where are the wards? Hanging out in the river, waiting for the next Ocean Drake to spawn. Waiting for teams to build up in gold as well. Canada does have 2 items also, so Viper's teamfight stock is rising.
Has to be careful though, because he went for the, I thought he was going to stop at the Oblivion Orb, but goes for the full Morellonomicon, which makes some sense against the Swain, who kind of lifesteal tanks up a little bit as Pancake Lord.
Here we go, 575 range Kindred. Hard's getting in there, full stacks, baby! He did it. Actually solo kills Pancake Lord. Viper didn't even get involved at all.
Hey, I kind of forced Pancake Lord into full retreat mode there. Good job by Hard finding a kill in these side lanes finally. As people kept flexing around and switching positions, they finally catch Pancake Lord a little bit too far forward, but it's going to convert into a turret as well. Doesn't feel like we can get too much more, but a good lead to finally break it open back up to 1,000 gold.
Yeah, I'm obviously having a bit of a joke, but it is significant that Hard was able to get those bounties, and this is definitely a Kindred game where we'll maybe see a bit more proactivity and snowballing out of that jungle. I think one of the things that is cool about Kindred as a champion is that it does change how the game is played for both teams. If you're willing to play Kindred as a team, you must be willing to play around her. And with Viper's pressure, kind of a good avenue to do that. Hard even going to get bounty number 5.
Yeah, he's well on the way to kind of taking over this game, especially since he is going that kind of more carry-oriented build with the Devourer and then Blade of the Rune King. Heyo!
Viper got the turret. What else will we get? A swift death. And Spycake Lord able to get the kill. Bit of revenge there in the bot side.
Getting a little bit greedy there. They're saying, hey, there's a mark here. I can grab this. Does, in fact, grab it, but costs his top laner his life, who was feeling safe pushing it in. And yeah, to your point, like the Kindred is a really unique champion, not just the bounty system, but I also love the ultimate and how it forces both teams to interact with it. And you see people start going for synergies just as soon as they see it. The Kennen can be a synergy with it. The Swain can be a synergy with it. And it's not just about pressing R and trying to blow up someone when they're low HP. Now you have to show the restraint to sit in the ultimate and then press it. And are you getting baited then into mispositioning because you're tunneling on this? It forces such a different team fight without being, let's say, as feast or famine as the bounty system can be.
It's a pretty accurate depiction there.
Uh-oh, Insanity.
Dodging everything today. Oh my goodness, man! He's got fancy feet, and now the team's coming in to help. Lots of globals here for TLA to try and play with. So Blaze Olive, he's in trouble, gonna ult out. I see ya.
Does get out for now, and it only cost them the flash of Shady and the ult of a Blaze Olive. Should have been a good play for them, actually, all things considered. They managed to actually land the abilities, but some good footwork out of Insanity. Keeps them alive and then punishes them for thinking they can go for him. And I think maybe a little over-eager by Shady. Insanity still had the phase rush on him, which made him a little bit faster. Probably could have channeled that Q slightly longer, but just good play overall by TLA's side. And now they're going to try and transition that into an Ocean Drake, it looks like.
Or a bounty.
Or a bounty for Hard.
Finds on the blue buff here, so good opportunistic take. TLA doing a nice job transferring pressure to help out their jungler, but also to the side of the map they want to be on anyway. Shady looking for a little bit more. Joey's out of there, flashes the wall. That's going to give TSM Academy leverage onto the Drake, though.
Rise has the inside track on the Drake, but they have to be careful not to get jumped on.
Yep, just trying to keep them out of there. MarkZ is ready to challenge though for the smite. Last bullet goes. Nice smite there from Hard. And actually now, Viper's in the backside, but he's going to get blown up. Pops the watch. Barely in time to just buy a bit more, but the ult is going to miss from Hard. Can't quite protect the Kindred now. He's out of there. Going to have to book it as he flips over the wall. Shoryu trying to battle Shady, but he's just going to flash in and try and pick up a kill. Raleigh grabs the double. Shoryu does get the kill in onto Shady, but he had to burn his flash down. Was running through past the enemy turret. Flash from MarkZ. Oh, he missed the W. Needs way more stacks to try and get it done. His Insanity trying to protect once again. Playing with fire. He's got his flash. He's got his clans. But there's the flash from Raleigh in onto the blast gun. He gets away again. And now Shoryu's still fighting. Might be able to get a killer onto Pancake Lord. Needs one more bullet. Does grab it. He's going to die as a result. Now able to pick up the kill in onto the Jhin, but Hard also now looking to chase. Pretty strong right now on the Kindred. Can maybe look to try and pick something up here. 1v3. Got 3 low health bars on TSM.
And not actually able to find any kills. Kept taking duels all over on different sides. Insanity takes the duel. Hard takes the duel. You see Jhin grabbing one, trades out his own life. I think that ends up being a 2 for 3 in TSM Academy's favor, all things considered, as it was a very split up fight. But the action's not done yet. There's a fat wave in the bot side that TSM Academy have to answer, as well as the ulting in Tahm Kench in the mid lane.
Yeah, really aggressive use of these Abyssal Voyages by Joey, but they've been effective. Not super effective all the time, but it's nice to see Team Liquid be proactive. I think this is the kind of compo you need to be, as we'll watch this one again. This timing with the Jhin full shot, Hard able to get the Drake. Yeah,
and Shady actually played this one pretty well, comically enough, all things considered. He baits Shoryu to go up there, then he baits the reload. Shoryu has to go over, he roots him, isn't killing him because the heal keeps channeling in, so he has to get close range. And Shoryu is trying to battle Shady this entire time and finally gets the kill. But hey, if you look down the bot side, the fight had gone horribly wrong for TLA, as they were too split up to actually take that fight, which leads to this really, really long chase down sequence. And Insanity is trying to bait people off of Shoryu. That pulls them onto him. Now Shoryu pulls them onto himself. Hard has rejoined the fight. Now he's trying to duel Blaze Olive. Blaze Olive has to flash out. Then he tries to duel Mr. Raleigh while Shoryu's dueling Pie Cake Lord. Just fights all over the place. And that all started because Shady pulled Viper as he ulted back away from his team, which then forced Viper to have to use his Proto Belt just to barely get in range, and then use his stopwatch early on. And then he baited Shoryu away as well. So Shady, despite not getting an execute kill, actually distracted enough members of TLA to help win that fight.
Yeah, and there was a lot going on in those team fights. I think certainly a sign of things to come. Kennen and Kindred feel pretty far ahead here, at least in the early stages for Team Liquid, that maybe they can tip the balance quickly. But like you said, you have to play around Kindred ultim pretty elegantly to have a lot of team fights, so things should get interesting as the game continues.
Yeah, and both teams, like I said, have a lot of tools. Mega Gnar can knock people out. Galio can ult people out potentially. And here we see a Blaze Olive getting hopped on. Might get caught out here.
Oh, that's a lot of damage. Galio not that tanky. Hard is going to take him down. No, it's Shoryu actually that gets the kill. MarkZ going to whip the ulti straight into the void on the side of the map as Viper flashing in, looking for the 4-man Maelstrom. Does get some decent stuns there, but the damage is just coming out under the turret. Insanity shredding them with the spell flux bouncing between her heart. He just wants to keep picking up kills. He was so unlucky to not get them last time, but he collects.
Super close skirmish by TLA there, but the fact that they're able to turn it into a 4v5 at the very beginning makes sure that they're able to find the next 3 kills. And with that, they can turn on to the Baron buff 28 minutes into the game, finally exploding this game into their favor.
Gold lead building up. Going to be well clear of 5,000 by the time this gets taken. In fact, we're going to watch the gold tick over. About 6K ahead now for Team Liquid. Let's watch this again. I mean, a Blaze Olive, no flash, and just, like I said, not that tanky.
Yeah, and it was a situation where he almost got out, couldn't quite do it, and if he was able to live long enough, he can potentially ult back into the fight, and this goes a lot closer, but because he's dead, there's no threat about over diving here. A good job by Viper going in to set the rest of the kills up and trusting his Tahm Kench to back him up, and then a good job of Insanity taking the turret, allowing Hard to run forward and find those last couple kills. I see you reacting.
Can we just take a moment to talk about how good Insanity is at Rise?
Yeah.
The plays that he has made back to back to back to back have been living up to his namesake, for sure.
He's a good player, dude. It's not just on Rise.
I mean, I have to agree. Certainly someone that maybe like Palafox we need to keep watching as season continues on.
And that, like you were saying before that fight broke out, did feel a little bit like a lid over a boiling pot with how strong Kindred was. and it felt like TLA, you know, that fight at the Dragon didn't really go well for them, but you saw the mechanics on display, and they almost still turned it back around despite how poorly it started. And this time, they're the aggressor. They're the one who pulls the trigger onto the Galio, and you see how effective they are when they're the ones calling the shots.
And now the pressure's just going to mount. We've got Insanity in the top side, getting that wave going. Viper with no TP, probably just going to stick with the team for the time being. Yep. Wave's still building up on the bot side. Lord right now has to answer that, so some of these tier 2 turrets should be pretty simple to take. Yeah,
I like the decision, breaking from the 1-3-1 into the 4-1 because you don't have that TP, and Hard kind of roaming between the lanes, assisting, take whatever turret he wants. It's probably the strongest player on the map right now. It's hard to say because so many people have 3 items, but just with the amount of marks that he has, a very strong champion.
Yep, not sure where he's up to yet, but he's approaching 8 certainly. He's not there yet. And now these inhibitor turrets starting to be sieged. Top lane almost gets melted just by some of the autos. Now the Baron Cannon looking to finish it off. The Blaze Olive can step forward, but a lot tankier. That turret will actually fall. TLA being nice and patient here in this siege. TSM got to go pretty soon.
Yeah, all things considered, a pretty low range comp by TSM. No one really having a threat range much longer than a couple hundred. Now they're finally trying to pull the trigger, but the minion wave will block any potential bone skewer, and Shady has to skirt on out of there.
And the pressure still continuing. Baron up on for a minute. So Insanity and Hard just kiting these minions in. Don't even have a cannon this time around. Now going to step forward, look to try and finish us off. But I think this is maybe where TSM can look to go.
They want to try and find them, but TLA are being very safe, only walking forward when they see the 4-man in the mid lane. This time, Shady wanted to try and wrap around, but actually took a lot of damage on his way through there. So now lose the mid turret.
Now it's extra dangerous because TSM can't really do anything without getting flanked by a cannon. So that top inhib's going to fall down. Mid inhib's going to keep being sieged. And Viper might just go. He doesn't have his flash, but he might not need it. Does get rooted. Realmwarp over. Going to try and start something here. Good duel by Joey. Gets Shoyu out safely. There's Realmwarp over to kind of join the fight with maybe a couple extra minions. Mid inhib also going to fall. TLA execute very well with this Baron.
Yeah, they were able to make sure that they didn't get hit by any of the major engage tools. The Gnar ult whiffs. This is Sejuani ult basically whiffs. And so as a result, they're able to take those 2 objectives and get out of there. They still have the Baron buff for a little bit, and they're pushing this minion wave in, but I can't imagine that they're going to stay. They are relatively healthy, and an Ocean Drake is ticking them up. They do have a lot of gold in their pockets too, though.
Yeah, don't know exactly how much they have to spend, but given this Baron power play, got to be pretty hefty. Still trying to maximize the advantage they can get here. Viper, I think, waiting for his flash just to try and end this game. 3rd inhib. Perhaps on the way, a Blaze Olive charges up a taunt, but does not flash. Joey again with another good devour. Saves Viper, who did pop the ulti, though. TLA may have to retreat, but they do want this other inhib. They're playing a little greedy for it, perhaps.
Definitely kind of greedy, but they do have the super minions finally showing up into the mid wave. And that will pull someone over. Lord kind of already dealing with the regular ones. Going to get harder from here. Inhibitor already down to half. I can see what they're looking at, but this is, like you said, a little risky to go for this triple inhib right now.
Yep, gonna stay though, try and maximize the pressure they can get across the map. I mean, if TSM misstep, the game's over.
Viper no ultimate, that's the main engage tool here for TLA. Without that, they really are more focused on poking people out. They are whittling it down.
Yeah, Joey walking up. A Blaze Olive does find the flash taunt, but Joey again with the devour. Insanity tanks the front side, then flushes out after the Sejuani ult. Hard there, kiting away, going to try and do some damage. The Blaze Olive looking to get blown up. Insanity on a rampage gets one. Lord jumps in and gets 2. Insanity going to try and clean them all up here. There's another one. No, it's Tom Kincher grabs it. No Penta today, but Shady, the only one left alive, is trying to run interference, but Team Liquid will complete the ace. They'll get the inhibs. They'll sweep everything across the map. And despite the upset loss yesterday, they will smash TSM as this game comes to a close.
Super fast ending to what was a relatively close game for an extended period of time, but Hard on the Kindred was finding all the bounties in the world. They finally found a fight that he could kind of show them off. They smashed TSM in the top side of the map and grabbed the Baron, and they grabbed the game.
And super strong game for TLA across the board. I think everyone kind of played as expected. The thing I like the most about that game is I feel like everyone was playing really comfortably. Joey's Tom Kinch looked good, Shoyu on MarkZ looked good, Viper on a carry Cedric champion looked good, and Hard, a player that doesn't spring to mind as like, oh, super carry jungler, played Kindred really effectively.
Yeah, last split we were talking about Hard was at his best when we saw him on the Sejuani backing up Viper and Mickey, these two really aggressive solo laners, and making sure they could keep playing aggressive. This time it was actually Hard who was the big catalyst for a lot of the advantages that they were building in this game. And it did take them a little while to find the ideal moment to kind of push those through. But when they did find it, you could see the skill on display.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way they played around the map, I mean, like I said, you have to play very specifically with Kindred to get a whole lot of work done. And I think if you're going to play an aggressive jungler that wants to invade, play with someone like Viper on a champion where he can kind of get leverage in the matchup, because he's the kind of player that, whether you like it or not, he is going to give you lane pressure.
Yeah, I mean, they got a good matchup too. That blind Gnar pick, we were talking about it. It was a little risky. They ended up banning a GP, which isn't a strong matchup into it necessarily, and then kind of felt like they got punished as a result, because that's almost where all of TLA's early advantages came from.
Despite that, though, there was a lot of trading back and forth, but we'll see where the game broke open. 27 minutes in, we'll have a replay. Team Liquid, again, they were battling for, trying to find something, but this team fight led to the Baron. Yeah, and basically led to the game.
Right, and there was a Dragon Skirmish before that TLA struggled to find anything in, but here they got the inside track onto the Galio. They pick him off early on, and then that is the go button for Viper to charge in there. It baits the entire team of TSM to turn onto him. Joey was there with those Devours, always on point, which allowed them to bait TSM into that turn. Bought them enough time underneath that turret to find those kills, and well played by everyone to not die underneath that turret to make sure they can grab the Baron. And you see that gold graph just shoot up after that Baron fight.
Yep, that was basically the game from that point. The spike where you see with Team Liquid just completely put the game out of reach from TSM was about at that moment. Still shaking my head at how sick that play was from Insanity, by the way. That's one for the highlight reel for sure.
Yeah, it was hard to notice too, because
he's like literally in the almost off screen, like just kind of waving around realm warping, which usually doesn't mean very much in the middle of a team fight.
No, especially when your Kindred is diving between two turrets finding kills. It's hard to notice, like, hey, that's a really good way of tanking that turret there, Rise. Very well done.
Well done indeed. With just 4 more games left in the regular split, though, let's take a look at the standings. In first place, Cloud9 are the first team to lock a playoff spot and a bye, leaving 5 more playoff spots currently occupied by Counterlogic Gaming, Team Liquid, Clutch Gaming, 100 Thieves, and FlyQuest Academy, while Golden Guardians are officially out of playoff contention. Academy has wrapped this week, which means the LCS is just around the corner. Tomorrow, the day starts with TSM versus Cloud9, and then Clutch Gaming starting Moon, Piglet, and Vulcan, who get their summer debut against 100 Thieves.
Oh boy, that turned that last game into a complete showstopper. Gonna have to tune in, everyone, for that one to see just how good Piglet looks as he returns to the LCS stage.
Doesn't get easier as well. They have 2 tough opponents this weekend, but if that's too long to wait, coming right up is a rebroadcast of this morning's EU LCS matches ahead of their live Day 2 broadcast starting at 8 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central European. Now, for myself, Mark, and the entire Academy crew, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.